loving hands. Who are you to decide? Breaking homes and taking lives, how can you justify? Electric tears, they still sting. Memories burned inside our mind. Electric tears from drawing lines, always there for you to find on life. Little eyes on crystal screens, scrolling to eternity. Quiet please from on high, thank God it's not you or me. Electric tears, they still sting. Memories burned inside our mind. Electric tears from drawing lines, always there for you to find online. Electric tears, they still sting. Memories burned inside their mind. Electric tears from warring sides, always there for you to find. Howdy music lovers, Tom from Blakgraz. That is Electric Tears by Blakgraz, and that song has a very special place in my heart. It also happens to be one of the songs, first and only songs I was ever asked never to perform again at a venue that I played at in Altadena called the Coffee Gallery. The first time I played that out live publicly, a lady in the audience started crying so hard that management asked me not to do it for the second show. I did get to speak to her afterwards and find out that the reason that she was so upset was because her son had been murdered in Colombia, and the song made her think of the circumstances surrounding that. And I thought it might be actually a good time to talk about this song simply because of what's going on in the world, but also we just put up the video, the lyric video for Living Man, which is also another statement piece from Blakgraz. I have a lot of statement pieces, and I don't normally like to talk about it. I just like to let the songs and the lyrics say whatever they're going to say, and if it reaches people, then great. But I thought it's appropriate with this song to kind of explain a little bit more about why I wrote this song. At first, it was an exercise in writing acoustic folk music, and I wanted to be true to folk music and the style, and so it needed to be something that spoke on current events at the time. And at the time, I was focused on children being separated from their parents when they come over the Mexican border into the United States. And not just being separated from their parents, but then being separated from siblings and disappearing into child protective services and disappearing forever. If you are not aware, it is actually documented that over 800,000 children a year go missing in the United States from the CPS service. Not only that, but it's also a well-documented fact that you can look up that each child taken by Child Protective Services in this country is worth $3 million to that agency. In other words, there is a financial motivation of $3 million per child to tear homes apart in America, as well as, of course, easily from illegal aliens making their way into this country. So $3 million per child. And then, of course, we've all seen the headlines about, hundreds of thousands of children that have gone missing from just the illegal aliens. That doesn't include the American children that have been taken by the very sinister Child Protective Services system, which involves attorneys and judges and prosecutors and agencies and ad litems and all kinds of people, including sheriffs and police officers and police chiefs, and they're all involved because financially they benefit from it. But that isn't the part that's so disturbing. The part that's so disturbing at this point is that we are at a point in history where this song is appropriate in a whole bunch of different ways. Not just about Child Protective Services, not just about illegal aliens, but about children being murdered in wars all around the world. Not just murdered by bombs and being shot, but being stolen, and then who knows what happens to them, disappearing into tunnels, disappearing into bathrooms in Disneyland. There's so much evil happening, and it's being exposed that sometimes it's a little overwhelming. So then, of course, I also am a big fan of Alex Collier and his work. If you haven't heard of him, please check out Alex Collier. He claims to have been contacted by extraterrestrials called Andromedans from the fifth density. And the interesting thing about that is that his story is not only consistent over 30-some years of sharing the message from them, but he supposedly has had continuous contact with them. Now, why would I go there? Well, because one of the things that the Andromedans made him aware of was human trafficking that's occurring not just on this planet. See, a lot of folks won't tell you is that every single race on this planet of people have been slaves or are slaves currently. So all these dark-skinned fellows who are friends of mine don't have anything on the Irish, on the Scottish, on the Europeans, on the Russians, on the Chinese. We've all been slaves. So you're nothing special if you claim to have been oppressed or slave. There's nothing special about that. That's a common denominator on this planet. And that's a documented fact. So you go look that up for yourself if you like. So what does that have to do with Alex Collier? Well, it also brought to his attention the idea that there is slave trade and human trade and child sexual trade here on the planet, but there's also human trade, child trade that goes off-world to off-world colonies and to other civilizations who are not positive, not light-filled. They are dark and they're evil. Now, whether you believe that or not is not what's important. What's important in this video is to bring awareness through this song to a system called the birth certificate system and the bonding of every human soul that is born within the United States, the borders of the United States, and how they are documented as chattel, as cattle, as property of the corporation, the United States of America, bankrupt, under color of law, fraudulent, criminal, RICO violating organization. They force you to fill out a birth certificate for your child, which basically gives ownership of your child to them as a corporation. They then bond that birth certificate and sell it on the market. And I can actually give you instructions, but there are lots of people out there doing this, so I'm not going to do it, on how to go look up your birth certificate and find out how much you have actually been, how many times you've been sold on the open market and how much your bonding is worth. They are selling your children. They have sold you. Your grandparents and your great-grandparents have been sold as birth certificate children for a very long time to a government that knows no bounds when it comes to evil. So this song now applies in ways that I never could have imagined, especially as more and more of it comes to light. And what do I mean when I say that? That more and more people on the planet are starting to come to the awareness of these really terrible things that have been happening. People's neighbors' children being taken from them for no reason, and or children just going missing. So many children going missing. There's been movies about it now, and there's organizations that try to fight it. In fact, there are even organizations that are set up on purpose so that if a child gets away, they call trying to return that child to their family, and that organization just returns them back to the slavery. That's how extensive it is. And so when you hear people talking about trying to battle this, right? You're talking about battling it at not just the highest levels of politics and the president. You're talking about battling this at a much, much deeper and a higher level, and without getting too spiritual, to the point of multiple dimensions are involved. Multiple entities from other dimensions, extraterrestrials that thrive on, or entities that thrive on the negative energy that's created by all of this turmoil, right? So why am I bringing this up now? Well, because we're coming to the pinnacle of things being revealed. And I thought it's an appropriate time to bring up this song again, Electric Tears, and how it applies to what is being revealed to all of us. All this information, all of these horrible crimes being revealed online, on the internet. And it's a double-edged sword, because the internet, it can have the potential to level the playing field for everybody, good and bad. But it also has the potential to, and has been used and abused to, enslave everybody in their minds and their hearts, because a lot of folks can't live without the internet, can't live without their phone, can't live without their iPad or their Netflix or their whatever, right? However, there is a very large growing movement of people filled with light in their hearts that are starting to wake up from that. And so I thought Electric Tears is the perfect song to help bring awareness to that. That's what this song was about, to bring awareness to these things that I saw, but I had no idea that the song would apply in so many different ways. So generally, I don't like to speak so directly about political things, because I want music to touch people however it needs. I want it to help people however it needs to help them, and let it help them the way they need, and let them decide what it means. But this time in history is going to be remembered for a very, very long time. And I only thought it'd be appropriate to try to help move things in the positive fashion and make people more aware and talk more openly about the fact that these things are being corrected, and we need to watch out now to make sure that they don't ever happen again. One of the things that Alex talks about from the Andromedans is that we have help, right? We're not alone. If you believe in God and you believe in guardian angels, or if you just believe in extraterrestrials or benevolent interdimensional beings, it doesn't really matter. We have energetic help from the universe that is helping us through this very dark time in the world, very dark time in existence. So really our job is to focus on what we want, right? Our job is not to go out and take up arms no, our job is not to do that. Our job is to be the best model possible, to learn everything we can, absorb the full disclosure, and then grow in a positive fashion. Love your neighbor, do no harm. Be ready to enter whatever new community it is and be of benefit, to make a positive impact in the world. I mean, it's not hard. Everybody really wants the same thing. That's one of the magic things about touring around and meeting so many different people. what we've discovered, number one, is that there's good people everywhere we go. Everywhere. Don't believe anything you read or see on the news or anywhere else online for that matter. Everywhere we go, there are good people. The second thing that we've learned is that everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants to be happy, healthy, in love, and they want to have time to enjoy themselves and their family and their children and whatever else it is that they're working on, their projects and things that they build. They want to be able to enjoy life and be comfortable and have fun and do things that are fun and exciting, and you can laugh and make good memories, you know. Everybody is the same everywhere we go. And it's really wonderful to have that experience, that perspective, as a musician especially, to be able to absorb that and then to share it through music, right? And so I hope that if you listen to this song, and I hope the performance of this song in this video was at least well enough to represent the song, good enough that you'd be willing to go and listen to the recording and maybe share it with a few people to help get the word out about how the world needs to change, how things are moving, and that our job is to focus on that, focus on a positive impact, a positive revelation, a positive manifestation in the world. And the way you do it isn't by going out and raising up signs and going and running. I mean, if you want to run for office for the right reasons, well then okay. If you want to be a public servant, but don't make a career of it. Go in, have a positive impact, and then get back to being part of your community. But to be a good model, look inside, really determine who you are. What is your personal frequency, your personal vibration? Learn that, center on that, focus on that, and then really ask yourself, what is it I really want? What do I really want? And don't let the external distractions of money, fame, popularity, material things, exciting adventures through flashing lights, don't let that distract you. First, center on who you are and what your frequency sounds like. Learn that. And then really think about what it is that you want from this experience here in life. And then just focus on that. If everybody on the planet cleaned their closets, the world would be a completely different place. If everybody on the planet really loved their neighbor and acted like they loved their neighbor and was kind to their neighbor, this world would be a very different place. And if everybody really sought honestly, not to just not do harm, but to actually be a benefit to the community. And I'm not talking about communism. I'm not talking about giving away because others don't have. I'm talking about being a benefit to the community where you build something that's valuable, you get to enjoy it, and you show everybody around you that everyone can do it. If you can do it, they can do it too. And then you encourage them. You empower them. You don't just hand it out to them like communism and make them slaves of your charity. What you do is you empower them. When you do that, and by really going after what you want, what you love, what you are looking for, and it has a positive impact, because I know there's some really twisted minds out there that could take that the wrong way. Well, I love blowing people up and I love destroying things. No. That's not loving your neighbor. That is doing harm and not loving your neighbor. If you really love your neighbor and do no harm by being a good model and being a benefit to the community, if everybody on the planet did that, then there would be no more challenge. There would be no deep state. There would be no religious war. There would be no wars at all, because everybody would be seeking their highest good, right? For the highest good of everyone. See, that's one of the things I always loved about Asking It Is Given with Jerry and Esther Hicks. If you can never separate yourself from your creator, from the source of goodness, right? From the good, which is the default of the universe. But you can pinch yourself off pretty good. but you never really separate. And Alex Collier always says, well, all the broken pieces always end up going back anyway, going back home. So it just provides a different perspective for the universe as a whole. But it's important to remember that you get to decide that. You are the one manifesting that. You are the one who makes that change in the world. That's why there are children now who can see through blinders and they can see energy, that children are learning telepathy and learning telekinesis in India. They're learning to use their mind to move things. This is a very different planet right now. And it is just happening like a tidal wave. And for some people, that's going to be really difficult. Now, I know I've gone off on a bunch of different tangents, but that is the point of this song, is to get you to think differently, to get you to look at the world differently, right? If you focus on you and you focus on showing the rest of the world how wonderful it can be, if you are doing positive things, you cannot do negative things. You cannot have negative thoughts. When you are in alignment with the default of the universe, the unity field, according to quantum physics, you cannot have negative thoughts or impact when you are in alignment with that. It's only when you're out on the raw and ragged edge, pinching yourself off from that default, from that goodness, that then you start to have these conflicting and challenging and evil thoughts, evil deeds. So if you just focus on you, right, and you focus on your center, and you focus on what you want, and you manifest what you want that makes you truly happy while loving your neighbor and doing no harm, then you will be the light that draws more people to you and to that movement. And the planet is definitely moving in that direction. There's no two ways about it. So I felt compelled to share this song and to share these thoughts. And I don't know that I'll do it again for a long while, but I hope that it helps somebody. If you made it this far in this video and you stayed with me and you're actually willing to do some homework on your own, look up Alex Collier, look up Ask and It Is Given, look up what's happening with Child Protective Services, look up where the birth certificates actually came from. If you actually start doing research instead of just watching Netflix or watching the news or watching sports, and you just learn a little bit and then make that decision for yourself to be that good model, then the world is well on its way to being a much better and beautiful place. I hope that helps. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And if you like this, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you don't, fine, say so down below and we'll have a conversation. In the meantime, I hope to see you at a show one time real soon.